Good evening and salutations, my Days of Live fans. So, I'm gonna be honest, the scene with Holly and Johnny and Chanel was just so awkward and so painful to sit there and try to watch. Because, first of all, I'm just like, alright, you got your movie now with your girl, right? And Holly's like, alright, well, let me get out of your hair. Okay, you can let her exit left. But instead, Johnny's like, oh no, let's just all hang out. And so now Chanel's like, yeah, listen, the more the merrier, there's popcorn for everyone. And you know what Holly dumbass actually winds up doing? Sitting in the middle of them. And I'm like, my whole thing's like, why is nobody putting two and two together? First she does that. Then she spills something on Chanel and is like, oh, wow, that sucks. Well, it looks like you gotta go home and change. Kind of a shame. And no one's sitting there being like, and she's all like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And first of all, she sounds fake as hell, right? And my whole thing is like, no one is sitting there bothering to call this chick out on it. Would they just assume that this just, oh, klutzy Holly, like, really? Really? Oh, okay, this is so stupid. Um, Now I know the couples have to have their obstacles, otherwise, it's just boring. Right? If you sat there and just watched them just make out and do all these cute stuff, it would just be boring. It would literally boring the two. I remember I saw one scene with Ben and Ciara. They weren't doing anything except for just lying down, and only one person said something nice, and I was just like, can everyone in the comment section just sit? And granted, this wasn't my comment section. This was it was actually a deleted scene, and it was deleted for a reason. It just showed them doing nothing, and somebody was like, oh, it's just pure bliss. I'm like, no one wants to watch that. Okay. So I get that couples need to have an obstacle. And I'm all for that. Up until a point. Right? But watching this, it just was like, okay, so now you got this girl, so they're trying to cause trouble for those two. But she's 16 years old. Right? So it's not even though she's even like legal age where it's like, okay, she could be competition, they can do a little love triangle. It's like you have this bratty little girl that keeps doing things to just mess up their dates. And not one of them sitting there putting their foot down and be like, yo, listen, this is kind of our date night or whatever. I get you live in the house, but you have to make yourself scarce somewhere else. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. I don't know what they're doing with Days of Our Lives. First, they got their version of a crappy love triangle. And then the whole Teresa thing. And that's something that's just piss poor planning. There is nothing else to sit there and say about that. Every scene, every scene that she is in is horrible to watch. You just can't watch it because it's like, not to mention the fact that she looks extremely terrible in this wig and she's trying to do her best to hide her accent. Um, which is why, if you notice there's a scene in the Brady pub where I think Bonnie and some other people are there, and they're trying to tell Tate he has to get a job. She's not really saying that much. It's like they want to sit there and try to have her speak as little as possible, and so they can sit there and fix their mistake. Tate's actually still whining about working at the Brady pub. I'm like, bro, seriously? What are you, like a 7-year-old schoolgirl or something? Like, what is wrong with you? He tries to sit there and text Holly. Holly's like, nah, I'm good. You pretty much ran your mouth. Now, granted, Tate did say, he did do it by accident when he was talking to Nicole. Nicole was really chill. Um, I thought she was going to be much more caring, like, oh, how dare you sit there and say anything about my daughter? But she was really chill. Um, But then, Nicole's all like, oh, when she went up to Holly, she was like, oh, you would tell me if you was in love with someone, right? First of all, you blurt that out in the open. And I'm like, what teenage girl wouldn't be embarrassed? You would be embarrassed. Okay, so they get out there and, she's all like, oh, I just want to do it to, let him down and everything. And, at some point, they're probably going to wind up being together because, well, they're in the same age bracket. So I don't see how she is going to be doing anything with a grown ass adult, being that she is 16 years old. Um, so you got that going on, and everyone's happy that, Susan's alive. Susan, was with Nicole, and she was like, I don't sense our vibe with that child. Like, but of course, she dropped in and gave a lollipop. She also did not testify. Well, she also wouldn't charge Ava. She was just like, let bygones be bygones. EJ wanted that chick arrested. Now, granted, what she did was effed up, right? And the one thing that's really pissed me off about Ava is, well, I was in my right state of mind. All that. I am so sick and tired of people sitting there trying to use a mental illness as some sort of a get out of jail free card. That pisses me off so much. Well, I was in my right state of mind. Oh, well, you know what? Listen, we just let it all go. How about we just go our separate ways since you weren't in your right state of mind? That's BS. I want to curse so bad, but I don't want to get this video demonetized. That's BS. And even EJ was like, nah, we're not going with that. But he begrudgingly seemed like he let it go. Because Johnny was like, well, let's just call it evens or whatever. And he was like, all right, fine. And he hugged Susan, but he just had that look like, I can't let that ish go. And I get that energy. I get that energy. Kate was there just to talk to Harrison about staying at the pub. Marlena was asked a bunch of questions where she tried to make it seem like with Harrison, like, oh well, how do you feel about Ava? Do you want to be with Ava and stuff like that? Now, this is something that a friend would sit there and ask Harrison. But since Harrison doesn't really have friends, we had to sit there and fill in that role with Marlena. Now, Marlena was all like, oh, well, I'm only asking this stuff because, it affects your mental well-being or whatever. I'm just like, no. No, this is literally because he doesn't actually have any guy friends. He doesn't have any friends except for Kate. That's it. That's literally his only friend, and that's not saying a lot. But he tries to deny it, and he pretty much is kind of just like he wants to move on. And then he was going to go back because he volunteered to go and for therapy and stuff. The minute he finds out that Ava's not in therapy, and he was like, well, I'm actually feeling a lot better, much more stronger mentally. I'm good. I'm good. And Marlene was like, so does this have anything to do with the fact that she's not going to be with you? It's like, no, no, nope. No, this is entirely a decision on my own. And it's like you could just sit there and see his nose just starting to just come out like damn Pinocchio at that point. Like, yeah, bro, whatever. So yeah, apparently they don't actually have to go back. They don't have to go back to Bayview. The new DA or the DA department is like, no, we're just gonna overlook the whole, forced charges or whatever since Melinda got fired on some BS. Let's be honest, that's literally what it is. BS. I'm gonna be honest. Listen, I know that Melinda jumped to some conclusions sometimes, but firing somebody not based off their job performance, but just pretty much because you don't like somebody, it's just effed up. It's just effed up. I wasn't really a huge fan of Paulina from the get go, but I mean, she wasn't really that bad up until she did that. Now I'm just like, she's back on my ish list. So it's like, whatever happens to her, depending on what it is, I may not feel that bad about it. Like if she gets fired or if Clint decides to come back and kick it to the curb, well, I guess, he does kind of seem like a proud boy, so I don't know. I don't have as much sympathy for the character as I once did after that, because like that's just on some petty nonsense, to be honest. Um, I feel like that's about it. I can't think of anything else. For the most part, it was okay. I could have did without the Chanel, Johnny, and Holly scenes because those were just awkward and unnecessary. I feel like I know that they're trying again. I know that they're trying to sit there and be like, "Oh, let's try to do something to spice them up. Let's have a third person come in and start messing things up because otherwise it'll be boring." It's like, yeah, but it shouldn't be annoying either, and that's what it's coming across as. I hope these two characters do work out. Tate so far isn't really doing anything for me, and I know he just got there, but the whining, the insipid whining. Oh my god, I actually have to get a job. Like, really, bro? Really? I mean, I know Brady does good for himself, but he's not like, he's not Mr. Moneybags or anything like that. So I don't understand, and I don't, Teresa really isn't either. So I don't understand where this whiny brattiness comes in from. Like his family is made of money. Like, okay, yeah, Uncle Vic or whatever, but like. It wasn't like he was, it wasn't like every Thanksgiving or whatever. Vic was just throwing out money here and there and stuff like that. So I don't really understand this mentality that he has. Anyway, I can't really think of anything else. If I missed anything, you know what to do. Come to the live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll sit there and talk about all the shows, YNR, Days, BNB, and GH, which is pretty much what I'm going to be talking about from yesterday. But we'll talk about it again. If anything new comes up, we'll talk about that as well. That being said, I'm going to go. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. See you in the next video.